say hello to the deep dish Snickers.
I mean, how could this not be good?
I'm so hungry. You know, it reminds me of when I was dropped from a helicopter into the middle of nothing, and I had to figure out how I was gonna survive for days on end, and I was angry at the world. I was angry with myself for jumping out of that helicopter.
You should take a bite
and
of that. You should take a bite of that.
And then
I came back to the desk with this in my mouth.
You're not you when you haven't had your Snickers. What is it?
Hey, what's up guys? Today we're completely stoked to be trying a new style that has never been done in the culinary universe. I'm going to be recreating the best dishes from the best shows and decided to start with one from this internet show called Good Mythical Morning. Now, what we know about the deep dish Snickers pizza is that it had plenty of chocolate and caramel beset in a cocoa-infused Chicago-style crust and adorned with a plethora of Snickers bars themselves. We also can assume that whomever made this dish is incredibly talented, handsome, and, contrary to popular belief, does not have issues with physical intimacy. To give our Snickers pizza the support it needs, we are making a cornmeal cocoa crust. We're going to combine 4 cups of flour, 4 tablespoons of cocoa powder, 3 tablespoons of cornmeal, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 2 3/4 teaspoons of yeast in a mixing bowl until it's all cohesive, unlike the nightmare train of thoughts that run through my head on a daily basis. To that, we're adding 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 4 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, and 1.5 cups of water. Mix until a firm dough forms. You want it to be about as firm as a memory foam mattress from Sit and Sleep. I gotta get me one of those mattresses. Anyways, this may take a while. This is what my cat does. My cat is a role model for me, and I for him. Since it's been working hard, we're going to let that dough rest for 1 hour in an oiled bowl. Now that we've watched an hour of Rhett and Link Funniest Moment compilations, I can assure you I laughed heartily throughout. We are adding the dough to a greased deep dish baking pan and begin to spread the dough out across the bottom. The dough is going to try and resist and sink back in on itself like a misunderstood teen sinking into the darkness of a Slipknot album, but that's okay because we're going to cover it and let it rest for another 15 minutes. I stick my fingers into my dough! Now we'll finish stretching the dough to cover the bottom of the pan and stretch up the sides. We're then going to take a dough docker or fork to create tiny holes that will allow the dough to vent, but the dough has nothing to vent about because it has lived a charmed life and also it is inanimate. Bake at 400 degrees for 15 minutes to par bake the crust. With our crust in the oven, we now turn our attention to a caramel sauce and peanut mascarpone. You know what it is. First, we'll add 2 cups of sugar and 1/4 cup of water to a medium sauce pot and whisk it until it looks to have a sandy texture. Then you're going to cook that until the sugar is melted and no chunks remain. You want this to be as smooth as a yellow Labrador's tummy on a warm day, which, as all dog lovers know, is quite smooth. Allow the sugar to cook until it is a dark amber color. This may take about 15 minutes. Smell the aromas of the caramel opening up like the first pull of espresso after a lovely vacation in the Catskills. Now that the sugar is cooked, we're adding 12 tablespoons of room temp cubed unsalted butter all at once until it is melted, then we can remove it from the heat. Add 1 cup of room temp heavy cream slowly to the caramel and whisk. Watch out because it might get steamy and not the Cinemax after 10 p.m. kind. When the caramel is smooth and the cream is incorporated, we'll add 1 tablespoon of salt and giant whisk. Set that aside to cool. For our cheese component to this pizza, we're simply going to use 2 cups of mascarpone cheese. Combine 1/2 cup of peanut butter powder, 1/2 cup of chopped peanuts, and 1 cup of powdered sugar. We're simply going to use a tiny whisk, which is a utensil that I and I alone own. This does not appear in the original pizza from Good Mythical Morning. They use something called nougat cheese. We're taking creative liberties here. You can always use cream cheese. Use an offset spatula. Check that. Let's use a silicone spatula instead. No food left behind. We're taking our par-baked crust and adding the peanut butter cheese to the bottom in 1 even layer. She is thick. Oh yes, she is quite thick. Then we're swirling in the caramel sauce with a little bit of chocolate ganache. Oh, looks like we need to call in sous chef Mike for this one. Now really be an artist here, and whether that means Rothko, Basquiat, or Lady Gaga, that is up to you. Take a coffee stirrer and drag it through to create the pattern of your dreams. Bake it in the oven for 375 degrees for 10 minutes and then drool in anticipation. Tasting this makes me feel like I'm right there on set with Rhett and Link. Wow.
It's Babish. Babish looks like this, not us. Now you're like, oh, what's going on? No, we got you, man. Come on, we got you. You were so confused. You should have seen your face. You're like, whoa. The Babish stuff, it's just like his show. Come on, April Fools, you know? Come on, it's jokes. It's just jokes.
You can cook up your own feast while wearing the Mythical Kitchen apron, available now at mythical.com.